Welcome to RPG Book Club Unplugged, the podcast where we didn't play a video game in time, so we're just going to talk about how various things make us feel. I'm Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard, and I am mostly not sick now, but I still don't know what time is, and my sleep schedule is fucked. So from all that being sick, I didn't play the game or write the notes, so I came up with some discussion topics for us.
And I'm Trish, who did play last night the chapter of Thousand Year Door, and is slightly sad, and also whose sleep schedule is really messed up, but I don't have a good excuse. My excuse was depression, and depression naps, messing up my sleep schedule.
Yeah, so before we dive into our prepared discussion topics, how's everyone's week?
I sort of said mine before I let Trish talk. So
Yes. What about you, Trish? Anything exciting happen this week?
Exciting, not especially. We've been dealing with the fallout of remember said last week. My wife had a car accident. Seems like even though it wasn't expected initially, the car is in fact totaled. So we have to deal with flat out getting a new car. So that's going to be a whole adventure. I'm gonna probably hate every step of. I started listening to the Harrow the Ninth audiobook, and
Nice.
I understand why people I know looks at Sam specifically who recommended I do the audiobook rather than just the book. Yeah, no, this not only is it just a high quality Maura Quirk's incredible narrator, but there is something that is a creative choice in the audiobook that clues you in to a plot point before it becomes obvious, and I absolutely adore it.
Yeah, it's
vaguely worded.
Yes. If you've gotten to the Homestuck epilogues, which neither of you have, it's akin to the narrator suddenly talking in a different font. It's similar to that, where you're like, oh, I know what this means, even though they haven't said anything yet. And that's kind of what the audiobook is doing, and it's so good.
It's very good. I mean, I will say there is a point fairly early on where if you're paying attention to like the type of the prose, you could tell it in book form, but the audio helps so much. It's really nice. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. I think I'm gonna add to my silly instead of using God in common parlance, I like to sometimes throw in Arceus or Haruhi or other silly fictional. Or now I'm gonna add John. So yeah, I did that. Me and my read-along buddy finished Oathbringer.
Nice.
This week's episode of Fantasy High was kind of disappointing.
Next week is the finale, right?
This was part 1 of the finale, so next week is part 2. We'll see if it's a 2-parter or a 3-parter. But yeah, I'll just say the Rat Grinders deserve better. I'm a little annoyed at my intrepid heroes.
Yeah. But
how are you doing, Sam?
I am doing pretty good. So this week I did a lot of video game related tinkering because emulator's out on iOS now, and the DS is a touchscreen device. So DS games should go wonderful on the iPhone. So I was looking around trying to make various ones work, and the best DS emulator, Delta, is too latent to play Elite Beat Agents, which sucks.
Which is the main thing that you want to do in life is play Elite Beat Agents.
Absolutely.
It is. Elite Beat Agents is
I haven't played it since it came out, but it made such an impression.
Mm-hmm.
I replayed it a bit ago. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's just a delightful game.
RetroArch is fast enough, but you have to do the whole mobile RetroArch of everything, because there's not like a Daiji show or emulation station or anything like that that'll do all the RetroArching for you. So it's kind of annoying.
I feel like dealing with RetroArch is just a little bit of a penance you have to do for
Mhm.
emulating.
My favorite thing about RetroArch is when RetroArch came out, we were like, "Oh my gosh, this is so simple and so easy. It's so much better than what emulation was before this." And now it's like RetroArch is so much, but it's like this is infinitely better than trying to figure out what plugins you needed for EPSXE. So it's wild. But
Oh.
EPSXE, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. There's a name I only remember because I've used it like 2 times, I think.
yeah,
I remember back in the day, I used to download in the computer lab in high school. I would have enough time to download NES-topia and or that was the name of the NES emulator back in the day, right? Yeah, that and like Mega Man or like Punch Out. And
Mhm.
I could do that so quickly, even back on those internet speeds. I could then play it for like the 30 minutes I had before the computer wiped itself at the end of the day.
Yeah, I shelled out some big bucks to get a 1 gigabyte flash drive. I was balling in high school, and on that gigabyte flash drive, I put the Genesis emulator and the good set of Genesis ROMs. So it would go with me
Mm,
in every computer lab because there was no security to tell you don't plug shit into computers. As an IT guy, don't plug shit into computers. But I would plug it in, and I would just be playing Shining Force 2 during keyboarding class, and that's how I ended up beating Shining Force 2 back in the day. But so the good emulator Delta is slow, but like as an emulator is very user friendly. But because it's slow, I don't want to play Elite Beat Agents. I might not even want to play Phantom Hourglass. But what I can play is Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, and Apollo
fuck
Justice
Yeah.
Ace Attorney
yes.
fucking rules.
It fucking rules.
Like,
There are many times I've been annoyed at a fandom's response to a game. I don't know if any of them have hurt me deeply as personally as the fandom response to that game in particular.
yeah, because like,
I
go ahead.
I am really looking forward to at some point getting the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy,
Hmm.
experiencing all of his many backstories again, and mainly revisiting Apollo Justice because I remember thinking, this one's not my favorite, but I've seen a lot of people say this is Shu Takumi's best work, except maybe Ghost Trick, which I also need to play.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm definitely in the boat of like, yeah, no, this is like the one of the best Ace Attorney games. It's fantastic.
yeah, like the every all three previous Ace Attorney games, the tutorial court case is like simple and just kind of teaches you how to do stuff. The one in Apollo Justice is like as long as a normal case, and you have to do a lot of figuring stuff out, and it has twists and turns and all of those sorts of things that you expect from like a case 3 or case 4, and it's where they start in this game, and it's only up from there.
To
And
be fair to Trials and Tribulations, that was technically the first one with a tutorial case that was like really plot depth because that's the one that introduced Dahlia and stuff with Phoenix as the defendant.
yeah, yeah,
But
the
that
the
doesn't really compare to the first case of Apollo Justice,
no,
in my
the one
opinion.
with Dahlia was plot important, but gameplay wise and
Oh
complexity
yeah,
of doing it was not a lot. The
no.
Apollo Justice, it's like if you're here, you've played 3 of these already. You don't need a tutorial. Here, use your deduction skills, figure out what the fuck is going on, and
I
it's so good.
I also love how, it's called Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, and it gives you it I think it sort of gives the impression of it being a soft reboot, but no, when you're here, it's like this is Gyakuten Saibon 4, baby. Phoenix
Hmm.
Wright is here, and we're immediately going into why is he different than he was before, and all this
Yes.
shit. It is not a soft reboot at all.
No,
What's
it's
funny is apparently there was a point in development where they were considering not having any characters related to the previous game. And while I think that would have worked, I think the choice they did to include some, but not a lot of characters and to more focus on new original things than retreads of past characters and experiences was an excellent choice, especially thematically for what the game is going for on like what it's trying to say level.
Yeah, and I love that so far the only people that have come back besides Phoenix, and his whole deal is kind of the point of the game. But like Emma from the bonus case 4, case 5 or whatever from the DS version of
Love
the first
her.
game, like letting her be the new Detective Gumshoe is brilliant
a
and
great
perfect,
idea.
and I have no notes.
She is truly, of any fictional character, the one of the characters that is maybe the hardest for me to say ACAB to, and I still have to. But God, I love her and I want to marry her. She's so fantastic.
But even then, she went in to be like a forensic scientist to help the defense, but because of reasons that she won't go into yet, she ended up not doing that. And
yeah,
so at least she also said ACAB, but push comes to shove to do what she loved. She had to be a cop. So she gets when we eat all the cops, we'll eat her last.
I mean, God, no, I'm not going to go with that joke. Let's move on.
But yeah, so I've been trying to do literally anything else all weekend, but I have been Ace Attorney 4. So that's where I'm at. So yeah, let's transition now. You can put in music or you can't, and we can just start talking about Bernard's prepared discussion topics.
I have some experience with that.
I get it.
Oh, okay.
I was like, putting in music or not, you have experience with what? So I was thinking, Nintendo recently made their mysterious tweet where they said in June we're having our big Nintendo Direct about what's coming for the Switch, and we will announce the successor to the Switch before the end of their fiscal year, which I believe is March 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, since I fucked up and didn't prepare, I was thinking we could talk about, instead of Paper Mario, talk about what we predict and what we wish for the end of the Switch and the upcoming Switch 2 or whatever it ends up being called.
I think Switch 2 to get us to kick us off. I think Switch 2 launch title is going to be Dragon Quest 3 HD.
I fully agree. I think I would not be surprised because when they announced Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, they didn't announce any platforms for it, and I'm pretty sure they still haven't. I would not be surprised if Nintendo actually managed to strike a deal to have it be a timed exclusive on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And that would be why we haven't heard anything about it, because it's been in development for a super secret platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that would be a really smart move by Nintendo. So
yeah, because you basically need to do something like Breath of the Wild to get people to make the transition. It'll be a lot. I feel because of how good the Switch is and how much smarter people are about, like, the people who got the Switch are not grannies, which are who got the Wii. Grannies don't understand Wii to Wii U. The average Animal Crossing player understands Switch to Switch 2 or Switch Attach or Switch Micro or whatever the fuck they're going to end up calling it. I think the people who bought shitloads of Switches are the kind of people who are knowing that there's going to be a replacement and be down for it. So the big thing they need to do is to make it worth it for people. And so backwards compatibility and some sort of Breath of the Wild like, which I think for Japan at least Dragon Quest III HD would definitely be on that level.
Yeah, I think to go off something you said, I think one of Nintendo's absolute great successes with the Switch has been building up, like rebuilding and bringing people back in, and just building up a very strong core audience for them. People who are not necessarily like the most hardcore gamer person watching Digital Foundry and shit, but I perceive it as their current audience would very much be interested in and ready for an upgraded system.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah, I mean,
because
like, as... Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, as someone who... I've never bought, or I think even really owned, a non-Nintendo console. I have lived with people who had non-Nintendo consoles and so played on them and gotten to use them, but I've never owned one myself. And even though I now think brand loyalty is stupid, and I have an awareness that Nintendo as a company has done some truly horrific things that do make me a bit about them sometimes. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of my favorite video game series are tied directly into Nintendo, and I I'm gonna I am gonna keep playing Pokemon. I'm gonna keep playing Legend of Zelda. I'm gonna keep playing Mario. They kind of got they got the hook in, and yeah, I think the Switch 2. It sounds like I was a defender of the Wii U to some extent, in that I appreciated some of what it did, even if I recognized it was definitely a flop, and it was kind of destined to be a flop. But the Switch has succeeded so well, kind of being the perfected concept of what the Wii U was pretending to be. And I think just taking that and going, here's a better version of that, is a smart idea.
Yeah, Nintendo likes to do their big innovations and stuff every console generation, and with the Wii and the Switch it works out. With the Wii U it doesn't. With the DS it works out. With the 3DS it works out, but not as spectacularly.
Yeah, the gimmick part of the 3DS didn't work out, but having a quote unquote HD DS worked out great for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Nintendo, in combining their portable and home console systems and making that, I don't think they're going to be doing anything too radical. And also there was something about the I don't have it pulled up, but the wording of the post from Nintendo was something like, we'll be announcing the successor to the Switch, whereas I think usually they have said things like the brand new experience from Nintendo, or something like the exciting new, innovative new thing that ends up being the Switch NX, which ends up being the Switch.
Yeah.
But it sounded to me, if we're diving into semantics, it's just like, no, this is going to be the successor to the Switch.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do some cool new stuff, but will probably be less of a big deal than, say, the 3D effect on the 3DS.
Yeah. The wording is, we will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. So, not, the next console or whatever. Like, it definitely sounds like they're talking about the next Switch as if it were the next Game Boy. And those have a much more direct line between them than the home consoles do. So,
Maddie Grace just posted in the chat they should call it the new Switch, which if they did that, I would be so bad. I honestly would not be opposed to something like the Super Nintendo Switch. I could see them doing
I was literally thinking, like, oh, what is this going to be, the Super NES to the original NES? And I'm like, yeah, no, Super Switch could work.
Speaking of, this is barely related, but I didn't realize that Super Mario 3D All Stars is Super Mario All Stars 2 because Super
Yeah.
Mario All Stars was the old one, and they were
Yeah.
keeping this, but putting 3D right there just made it sound like a completely different set of words to me, and I only realized it yesterday that
I
it's Super Mario All Stars.
I
I'm
definitely
so
understand
bitter
that.
that
Man, I am glad that Nintendo hasn't done the Switch Vault, the Nintendo Vault thing for a while. I
Oh,
hope they've grown out of
mhm.
that.
I hope so too. I am really I'm still a little bitter about Super Mario 3D All Stars that they didn't include Galaxy 2, aka the best 3D Mario game. Fight me.
So I was looking at a thing recently about it because I never played Galaxy 2 back in the day. I meant to, but I just never got around to it. I think I got a copy from like a used game store or something, and I opened it up and it was not Galaxy 2 on the inside. So I had a case for Galaxy 2, but not not the game. But uh Yoshi requires the pointer more than in Galaxy 1 did. And so a lot of people who have tried to use like Dolphin's map waggle two buttons thing haven't found a good way to make Yoshi work. So it could have been why it was is that Nintendo also couldn't find a way to make Yoshi work, but that's just a guess on that end.
I'll say
Okay.
two things on that. One, I wouldn't be surprised if to make that work, they did some sort of actual remake of Galaxy and or Galaxy 2.
Mm-hmm.
And two,
I
you
would like
said
that.
Galaxy 2 is the best 3D Mario game.
Yeah.
Fight you. And I don't agree, but I'm going to give I would instead give some sort of Albert's Path monologue about how I'm not going to fight you because I love you. But I do not
uh,
agree.
Listen, I rented it from Blockbuster back in the day, and I had one weekend to beat it, and I 100%ed that bitch. Except I
Wow.
didn't really. I got up to the last level, the Grandmaster Galaxy perfect run, which I think still to this day is one of the best designed, if not the best designed, challenge levels in any Mario game. And that bitch was fucking impossible, and I ended up only winning because someone who was sleeping over my house went, "Oh wait, if you use a second Wiimote, you can freeze the enemies in place." And I went, "That's cheating! That doesn't count!"
I love how so many 3D Mario games have a really great, ridiculously hard final challenge right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're so fun.
Okay, well, going into that, Matty Gray Super Switch is my grinder deck. uh, yes. I was gonna say, well, speaking of Mario games and 3D Mario games, it does bring up the question. I don't think they'll have one at release. Switch didn't have one really at release, but are we anticipating a 3D Mario game to go with the Super Switch? Perhaps some sort of Odyssey 2 or some completely different fucking insane new Mario game?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a new 3D Mario game within the first year because, Odyssey was within the first year of the original Switch, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
It was
Time
the
is an
1st
illusion.
October.
When someone said the Switch has been out for like 7 years, I went, "You're lying. That's not possible."
One of my friends was talking about how he heard some young adults talk nostalgically about how the Switch came out when they were in middle school, and it like blew his brain out of his head.
When I'm on
But
a server and people start talking about midterms or exams or something, and I realize that they're not talking about college, but they're talking about like high school shit, I'm like, "Oh no, I'm ancient."
but it's been over 3 years since Bowser's Fury, which I adored.
I never got to play that. I'd like to.
It's so good. It is absolutely a top tier Mario game, other than the fact that it's, smaller than most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I did just do a cursory glance on Moby Games, and the Super Mario Wonder team is not the same Mario Odyssey team. So they've been probably working on something since Bowser's Fury. So
I still need to play Super Mario Wonder. I keep hearing great things about it.
it's real good. I
But
still have not beaten it.
I think for the first year of the Switch 2, Nintendo will probably have some big Mario game. Maybe it'll be a Galaxy and Galaxy 2 remake, like I said. Maybe it'll be something brand new. I don't see them doing an Odyssey 2, even though I would love that. But they like to do fresh, new, crazy things, which
They do.
I love even more.
Yeah, when the DLC was Luigi's balloon fight and not an extra kingdom, I was like, okay, they've moved on from Odyssey. They're not going to give us more of that, which is fine by me. But
I love
that game.
I would love to see a Mario Odyssey where it's like we're going to instead of the kingdoms from the last game, we're going to go to Delfino Island and Subcon and stuff. But that does not seem like something Nintendo would have any interest in doing.
No.
So,
Nintendo doesn't remember Subcon exists. Are you joking?
And going into a wish listing, I think I've mentioned this before, but I would just love a new game that is a successor to Super Mario Brothers 2. I would love that so much.
That would be great.
I doubt they'll do it, but that's just something from my wish list that I noted.
Yeah.
On a big document that I have here.
Yeah. Similarly, I was watching a thing about Super Mario Land DX, and I was like, I would totally take a mid-budget remake of the crappy Mario games, kind of how Super Mario All-Stars remade them slightly. I would love a slight remake of the Game Boy games and things like that.
That'd be fun.
It would be fun if they did a budget game that was like Mario Land or Mario Land 1 and 2 with some funny graphical style.
Yeah. I would be super down with that.
So real talk, when you were talking earlier about Dragon Quest 3 HD remake thing, I hadn't heard of that. And I'm like, oh, that sounds neat. And it got me thinking that my wish list is, could we get cool HD remakes for the Zenithian trilogy of Dragon Quest games?
I would love that.
I've only played 5 of those 3, and I'd like to play all 3 of them at some point. And if they had cool remakes, that'd make it even better.
Also, it would be great if the party chat in 4 was officially available somewhere other than mobile. Because party chat in 4 makes the game. It is the so when they made the DS version of Dragon Quest 4, they took out the party chat because it was like fucking 2/3 of the script or something, and they did not have the resources to localize all that apparently. But then when they made the mobile version, they put it back in.
Yeah, and that was their first DS game, and so they didn't know if it would sell over here and stuff too.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why they did it, but I hate that they did it.
It's like I recently, like last year or something, I played the mobile version of Dragon Quest 4, and the party chat is the best part of that game. So
thankfully, there is a fan translation of the Japanese version that puts the official DS translation and the official mobile party chat into the Japanese game, so you can have the whole experience on the console where it looks the best.
I tried that. I tried that a while ago, like when it first came out, and there were some like glitches or something, but I think they fixed it.
So the only problem was playing it on the phone, because Dragon Quest is kind of the perfect phone RPG. Every single one of them is great. However, they accidentally made the sprites a little too big for all of the 3D ones. So you're just slightly don't fit on everything, and it just bothers me ever so slightly. So the DS version is the best version of the game, but because of the party chat, play it on the phone.
Yeah, but yeah, no. I'd love to go through 5 again and actually finish it this time. And if they do some sort of remake of that, please bring back Deborah from the DS version. She's the best. Only correct choice on wife.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would.
mean,
I
other
would be
than
fine if they just did the DS slash mobile versions and just made it play on the Switch. I don't need anything fancy. I just want those.
But if they wanted to do something fancy too, as long as it, kept the new content and
Hmm.
stuff from for Dragon Quest IV, they could even add a uh tone down the accents a bit feature. That would be nice. I'm putting that on my wish list because I mean a lot of modern Dragon Quest localizations do it, but Dragon Quest IV is where they started going hard on uh phonetically written accents, and uh after that they toned it down a bit because I think they realized we went too far.
Hmm. Uh, Speaking of Dragon Quest, which is a Square Enix property, Square Enix's president came out at some earnings call and was like, yeah, we didn't market anything for the past 3 years, and it didn't work out for us, and we're just realizing that. So we're going to restructure. They canceled a lot of things, yada yada yada. But they also said that they were going to aggressively target the successor to the Nintendo Switch.
Oh,
So
oh,
what Square Enix property would you want to get a second life on Nintendo Switch?
well, I don't know how likely this is, but I would love if they collaborated with Monolith Soft to do a Xenogears Definitive Edition Director's Cut HD 2D. I don't know what it would be, but Xenogears Director's Cut would be cool, even though I'm on record as not particularly liking that game.
Yeah, my least favorite part about Xenogears is the cognitive dissonance I have where everybody says the game is perfect, and then I've also played the second disc in which it is a PowerPoint presentation where they tell you about the game you don't get to play, and
oh,
and like everyone says that it's perfect. Like the first disc, I agree is fantastic, but like the second half, the way they ended up doing it, I understand why they did it that way and all of those things, but I don't like it. So I would much rather have Xenogears the whole bloody affair where we finally get to play the second disc.
Also, fun fact about Xenogears, I forget the name of the person who led the translation on it, but I randomly stumbled upon their Wikipedia page recently, and they're very prolific and had been doing translating stuff for a long time before and after. Did a lot of extremely good translations like Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX. Xenogears was just a really troubled development, apparently, and that's why its translation is pretty rough.
And that's why they
Because
spelled
this person certainly had the chops.
yeah, and that's why they spelt the prophet neglect the way that they did. uh,
Um, I would also love to see Monolith Soft get to collaborate with Bandai Namco to make some sort of Xenosaga HD thing. And fun fact about Bandai Namco, their games division is now called Bandai Namco Entertainment, but their games division right after the merger was called Namco Bandai Games, which is why I can never remember which order they go in.
I just call them Bamco and move on.
Yeah, that's how I remember because I have to remind myself, no, it's Bandai Namco because you can call them Bamco. It's not Namco Bandai because Nandai doesn't, that's nothing.
Yeah, they should just go back to calling themselves Namcot.
Yes.
Let's go all the way back to the beginning.
Um,
Speaking of Namcot, aka the first publisher for Atlas before they became Sega things, what do you think any Atlas killer apps that could come to Switch 2 are? Because Atlas and Nintendo are usually really good friends. Kind of less so on the Switch than they were on the 3DS, but they were like best friends on the 3DS.
I mean, they did eventually bring over Persona 3, 4, and 5 to the Switch. I'm wondering, maybe in the first year of the Switch 2, we'll see Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor Refantazio, the worst titled game ever, get ports. I mean, I don't know what the power level of the Switch 2 will be, but I assume, those are Metaphor is at least releasing on PlayStation 4, so I assume Switch 2 would be able to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love for them to bring back some of the weird shit from Atlas, and a new Etrian Odyssey would be cool because I have Etrian Odyssey on the brain lately, but also like Devil Survivor, from Devil Survivor all the way to Soul Hackers 2, there was no non-SMT, non-Persona Shin Megami Tensei tie-in game created at all, besides Sharp FE if you want to count it. But like, there was nothing going on, and I would love for that to come back, and you get your Personas every couple of years and your SMTs every more couple of years, and then you just get weird tie-in offshoot craziness. Just bring it all back. That's what I want.
Apparently in 2022, Sega revealed that Soul Hackers 2 was struggling to meet sales expectations, but would continue to be supported in the hope of a longer-term sales success. So I'm going to say maybe we'll see Soul Hackers 2 get a Switch 2 release.
That'd be cool.
I want to give a joke answer.
But I like it. Yes.
I want to give a joke answer and say Bonk, please. So to grew up playing Bonk's Adventure. But
have you played the GameCube version of it?
Oh God. Well, I believe so, but I actually had the TurboGrafx 16 version briefly as a kid. I borrowed it from a cousin.
I was just wondering if you played the GameCube version too, because it is wild.
It is every version. It's an insane game.
Wild game.
It's why I love it.
I would love to see Bonk make a return. Why not?
I don't know what the rights are with that, because apparently it was co-developed with Redco, and I don't know if Redco exists anymore. And I don't know who owns the rights to Bonk necessarily. But yeah, if we're gonna go with Atlas stuff, I am not particularly attached to a lot of Atlas series, so I would just throw out Etrian Odyssey does sound like something I think they should do more of, because it would make one of my girlfriends very happy, and I like it when she's happy.
So Konami now owns the rights to the Bonk series, so who knows what will happen, because
good luck there.
Konami is sort of dipping their toes back into being a video game company, and doing it in some weird ways. Maybe they will make some. Maybe they'll make something. I don't know.
I would
love if they did.
I really hope that Silent Hill F is good, because Ryukishio 7 is good, and I want them to have a AA game and not just a fan favorite visual novel.
Yeah. I heard that Silent Hill Silent Hill the short message, I heard that was fucking terrible. But it was free, so. But
free and terrible is much better than $60 in terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard not only was it terrible, it was also like a dollar store ripoff of PT.
Yeah, which is sort of insulting.
That's really insulting.
Yeah.
Man, PT ruled.
Oh wait, no, I do have a thing from. I do have a thing from Atlas. What? This is more of an Atlas. Apparently, this is Atlas. It says U.S. the North American branch of the publisher for. Yeah, but Dokapon Kingdom. More Dokapon, please. I want to. If we had a Dokapon game on Switch where you could play that online with friends, that would be the greatest thing in the world. I could end my friendships with people online. It would be wonderful.
I've heard of Dokapon, but I don't know what it
Oh,
is.
Dokapon is so fun. It's it's so ridiculous. It's what if we made a JRPG a board game
Mhm.
and we instinct like they purpose. I have the Wii one in physical copy, and like the back of the box ad thing for it is just entirely about like how you should absolutely destroy your friendships with people. Like they're you know the thing of like, oh, I'm in last place, I'm not gonna win sort of thing. There's a class when you are doing badly enough, the game offers you a devil's bargain to become a special class whose only point is fuck all of you. PvP time. I'm killing you all and taking your things.
Nice.
So
Uh,
I was looking at lists of Atlas games. You know what game is a cult classic that definitely deserves a modern port?
what?
Tell me.
Radiant Historia.
I was looking at that too, and I the name sticks out to me, but I don't know a lot about it.
It
So
was some cool game on the DS that became some cool game on the 3DS, and
mhm.
uh, that's all I know really.
It's a time travel game that like
Ooh.
cares about the fact that it's a time travel game. Like in probably the best time travel game of all time, Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
Really, all of the times that you go to are just different continents on the world map.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
a couple of times, like with the black chests and stuff, where like the time loopy nature of everything can be played with. But Radiant Historia was like, oh, right here at the beginning, you have to say yes or no to the king asking you to do something or whatever. And so you say yes or no, and then you uh, become aware that you actually have said both, and there are now two timelines that you can go through. And so you'll like go through one timeline and find a dead end. So then on the other timeline, you can go and find like dynamite or something to go back and do it. And then the thing you get past the dynamite door is something that can help you change something back in the past of the other timeline and stuff like that. And so it's very non-linear meandering coolness, and its battle system is really good and deserves a fast forward button because it takes too fucking long. That's the main reason why I didn't finish it.
That sounds fucking awesome. As someone who adores time travel, is one of my favorite like things to play with in fiction. Yes, please. Yes, please. I want to play that now.
Yeah, it's real good.
I will sit through the long battles if I get to do fun, interesting time travel shenanigans.
Yeah, and the battle system is also fantastic. It's just it's too puzzly. So like a Persona battle system is like, oh, I need to figure out the way to beat them quickly, and then I can do that. And once you understand how it goes, you can get in and out of a battle in like a minute and a half
Yeah.
tops. But in Radiant Historia, the monsters are on a 3x3 grid, and so you have to position yourself and move them around and attack them in these different things. And it takes a lot of setup and a lot of moving around, and it becomes a lot of work for every single random battle instead of like Zubats are annoying, but Zubats usually die pretty quickly. But imagine if Zubats took 5 minutes each to deal with,
Ooh.
and that's my
Ooh.
biggest complaint about the game. And so all I need is a fast forward button so that it gets through all of the animations faster, so that I can then do the thing without having it take forever. But yeah, that's one that I want to come back because it's good. Or even a Radiant Historia 2, but I doubt that's possible.
My last Atlas thing that I would like to see is I would like to see Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance be a big success, and I would like for that to make them think, oh, we should do a modern HD version of Shin Megami Tensei 4 duology.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Robopon should come back. That was a joke. Don't actually bring back Robopon.
Yeah, I think they should bring back Robopon. I think that there should be options for Pokemon likes that are somewhere between Pokemon and Shin Megami Tensei that aren't only made by indie studios. Like, I think there's so much stuff you could do in the monster catching realm.
I agree. I just wanted to reference.
They've all died off.
I mean, we still have Dragon Quest Monsters.
That's true. We do have Red Quest Monsters.
Oh god, can I please switch earlier answers? Fuck anything else I've talked about. I want Dragon Quest Monsters back, please. Please, I want more.
You know, one came out like 3 months ago, right?
Wait, what the fuck?
Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince came out in late 2023.
Yeah. We just recently got a new one, and it's really, really good. You play as the bad guy of Dragon Quest IV.
I grew up on Dragon Warrior Monsters, and it ate my childhood, and oh my god, I really hope it's a good one now.
Oh, everyone who's played it says it's fantastic. It just was a Square Enix game that came out in the last 3 years, so there was literally no marketing beyond the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, Square Enix put out so many cool things and did such a bad job of marketing them. So, like, I feel like if someone loves Dragon Quest Monsters as much as you apparently do, Square Enix should do a good job of making you aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm really frustrated to find this out. Like, what do you mean? Also, apparently in Japan they called it Dragon Quest Monsters 3, which makes me laugh because that sounds like they're completely ignoring the one on the Game Boy Advance, but that's fair because the one on the Game Boy Advance was
Not only are they ignoring the one on the Game Boy Advance, Dragon Quest 3 Caravan Heart, Dragon Quest Monsters 3 Caravan Heart, they're also ignoring
Joker.
All three Joker games.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Dragon Quest Monsters. I ignore all 3 Joker games.
I have not played any of the Dragon Quest Monsters games. I really want to.
They're really fun. I don't know how to sell them to you except, hey, do you want a game that's like a Pokemon-like, but where it has a breeding chart between the creatures that is so convoluted and complex that it, like, there are old 1990s websites devoted to explaining it all?
You should play Cyber Sleuth.
I mean, I love Shin Megami Tensei, where the demon fusion is basically just you throw 2 things together and see what happens, because it's so weird and complicated. I can't understand it further than that. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
But speaking of Dragon Quest, a completely out of left field thing that I would like to see come out, because so far it's only skipped one Nintendo generation. There's been one on every handheld generation prior to the Switch, and that is Dragon Quest Rocket Slime.
Yes, I would love if they like did some sort of re-release or remake or something of the Slime Mori Mori games.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they did something with the first one, which is supposed to be really good, but hasn't even had a fan translation.
Yeah, if they brought us if they pulled a Pikmin, I think so. Nintendo should do what they did for Pikmin and what Square did for Trials of Mana. I feel like that should be like what everybody does. Where, okay, here is the Pikmin collection. Here's all 3 Pikmins, and then coming out this fall is Pikmin 4. So they're like, oh shit, I want to play Pikmin 4. I'm going to pick up this one. I'm going to buy 2 games, and it'll be great. And they should have Dragon Quest Rocket Slime 1, 2, and 3 collection, and then Rocket Slime 4 coming that fall.
And this is sort of unrelated, but that would be amazing in a similar way to, I haven't played this yet, but the Touch Detective games recently got a re-release on Switch, which includes an official translation of Touch Detective 3. And I was like, I never expected that to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's
so cool. But yeah, do that, but with Slime Mori Mori.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of DS games that randomly got remade recently, another Code Recollection collection got a big HD remake. And so if Touch Detective and that one, I just said it and it's out of my brain, whatever.
I'm not going to help you.
Another Code Recollection, I think.
I believe that's the name.
But if both of those can randomly get a HD modern re-release, then like anything can happen.
So
I just read an article about Thousand Arms, and now I think Thousand Arms should get a remake.
I don't know much about Thousand Arms, but sure.
Oh, you know what I haven't heard of in a while?
Tell me.
The successor to Wild Arms, Armed Fantasia. I haven't heard from it in a hot minute, so I hope it.
They're still
comes
working on Armed
soon.
Fantasia and what's the other one? Penny Blood?
I think Penny Blood, yeah.
Yeah,
Penny
they're
Blood,
still
it's
working
the
on those.
Shadow Hearts.
They're looking for a publisher or something because like most Kickstarters, it was sort of a lie. Like the money they brought in with the Kickstarter was never going to be enough to actually build 2 full games from scratch. They need publishers.
Yeah.
So apparently they're looking for that.
As of January of last year, the developers said that Armed Fantasia's first playable build was completed, and so then it would just be like polished from there. So sure, Armed Fantasia launch title, Switch 2. I want more Wild Arms in my life, and I think Wild Arms is dead forever because not only did it get a mobile game called Wild Arms 6, but it was Wild Arms Million Memories. It was Breath of Fire 6. That was that one. But the Japan studio is also dead. And Team Asobi, who are the remnants of Japan studio, they're really good, but I also want them to just be working on the next Astrobot because Astro's really good. I want a full game as good as Astro's Playroom.
On the Switch.
On the Switch. That does bring me to another idea. I'm torn on if Microsoft should make their own Steam Deck or if Microsoft should just put Game Pass on the Switch too.
What Microsoft should do is fuck off.
Absolutely. Yeah. they absolutely should. They are
I'm still mad at them.
they're doing some bad shit lately. But yeah, I think Game Pass on the Switch would be really good, even if it's just the cloud version.
I think, speaking of Microsoft, one big thing I want on the Switch is Mistwalker games, which could include, since Microsoft is now very much putting their properties on other platforms, I think they could do re-releases of Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, make them, more HD. Then you could do The Last Story HD. I haven't played The Last Story, but apparently you can play it completely with the classic controllers, so it probably wouldn't be wild to convert. And also, I want a console version of Fantasian so bad. I don't want to play it on my phone or my Mac.
Yeah. I got me a crappy Temu Backbone clone so that I can play Fantasian on what feels like a regular machine and not my phone. Its touch controls are good, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Let me see what else. So Nintendo has, for the last year or so, been going really hard on remakes and remasters, which I assume is partly because they're saving some of their big, cool, groundbreaking new ideas for the Switch successor.
Yeah.
So one remake I'm sort of expecting is I sort of expect them to do a remake of a Fire Emblem game for the end of the Switch life cycle, because that's exactly what they did on the 3DS. They were like, we really want to get a third Fire Emblem game on the 3DS, but we're already sort of working on the new one for the Switch and stuff, so we'll just remake Fire Emblem Gaiden. And that turned out to be one of the best Fire Emblem games, in my opinion. So I think they'll.
I should play that one.
Oh, it's so good.
What if they do that and they do Holy Genealogy War?
Yeah, I
Honestly,
was
raise my
thinking
eyebrows.
they should do one of the other Japan only games, and that would make sense as the one to pick. Or they could do the first one or both of the Radiant duology. I assume they gotta remaster or remake the Radiant duology at some point.
Mm-hmm. I only say Holy Genealogy War because I only found out it existed like a month ago, and also just because I I think part of what has helped surge Fire Emblem's popularity, at least back during that Awakening Fates boom, was the whole, oh gosh, I can ship the characters and then they can have a kid together, which
Oh yeah.
literally, Holy Genealogy War is the first game that did that.
Oh, I didn't know that, but genealogy
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, the difference there is there's no weird time travel or we left our kid in another alternate world for him to grow up really quickly sort of thing. Instead, it's just there's a time skip between the first and second half of the game, and so the second half of the game, the characters are the kids of the first half of the game. And hey, that sounds neat. I would enjoy playing that. If you remake that, please put in some gay options, please. I'm begging you.
One fun thing about Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia, which is the remake of Gaiden, is if I recall correctly, the whole shipping thing isn't really a thing, but I do remember there being a really well written and realized gay character.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's neat.
So I'm scrolling through a Reddit thread on what Nintendo remakes do you want, and someone said Star Fox, and like,
Yes, I
yeah,
want Star Fox 1 and 2. I want it to be sort of a fake low poly graphical style, like it's actually very advanced, but it just sort of looks like an imagined fake low poly. And I want the portraits to be like a 90s anime style. I want it to have full voice acting. I think that would be great. That would be anything to do with that would be anything that they can do with the Star Fox franchise that would probably be successful in some way. And Lord knows they don't know what else to do with the Star Fox franchise. So yeah, I would love that. Because Star Fox 1 rules, and I've heard Star Fox 2 is way better, but I haven't played it yet.
I've never really played a Star Fox game, but I hope Star Fox fans get things that make them happy because I sympathize with them horribly for the drought they've had to live through so many times in the franchise's history, where it feels like Nintendo just completely forgets about Star Fox for a while.
And
as a Metroid fan, I get it.
Speaking of Metroid, I would not be surprised if they did a Metroid Prime 2 remastered for the end of the Switch life cycle, given how well Metroid Prime 1 remastered was received. And I'm wondering if Metroid Prime 4 is going to be a Switch 2 launch title or if it'll be a cross-generation thing, because they did technically announce it as a Switch game.
They announced it when they announced the Switch.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it'll be like the Breath of the Wild, where it's on both systems. And I'm hoping development has been going well since they switched to Retro, and we just haven't heard much about it because they've been saving it for Switch 2.
Oh, you just brought up Retro, and that just made me think of a thing.
Yes.
I feel like this is a fucking long shot. It's been so long, but hi, I love Punch-Out. If we could get a Punch-Out game, you could just port the Wii one. I don't care. I just want it. I want more Punch-Out, please.
Did Retro make the Wii Punch-Out game?
I thought they did. It was the same company who did the Donkey Kong Country game that was on the Wii, remember correctly. And I don't remember if that's Retro or my name. Yeah, it was Retro then.
Retro did Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah. Then at least that's what I'm remembering. I might be wrong.
I'm gonna see
it's
what
it was
I
next
got on
level.
the
next
It was
level.
next level
Luigi-
games. Okay, it was next
It
level.
was
games.
another Nintendo subsidiary with a terrible name.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's hard to
But
keep
yeah.
them straight. There's Retro, there's Next Level, there's One Up, and I'm like, God, I hate those names.
But yeah, if
But
they
I
could
love
take a
those
break from
companies. They do great stuff.
But yeah, if they could take a break from doing Luigi's Mansion games, which listen, no problems there. I'm not gonna say anything against that, but please, I love Punch Out a lot.
And, you know, Arms wasn't a huge success, but it, worked as a, punching type game. So, I assume some Generation 2 Joy-Con could probably let you do some fun punching.
That
I've got it. It's a remake. It's a killer app. It's what Switch 2 needs at launch. Mother
no.
3 made by Grezzo.
I
What?
think a Earthbound trilogy or just Mother 3 with a sort of remake claymation style would be a really great thing. I think that there has to be real solid reasons why Nintendo has not brought the original Mother 3 to English and other languages, but if they did a remake, they could change whatever they wanted and make it
Yeah.
worse.
I would
But
definitely want that.
that would be a great way to get people talking about the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't think they could just call it Mother 3. I think they would have to give it the Earthbound branding. And I've always thought a good title for it would be something like Earthbound Goodbyes to sort of like mirror Earthbound Beginnings or something.
That'd be good.
Speaking of bad takes, this person on the Reddit thread said, "Hear me out. What if they made 3D versions of each of the first Super Mario Brothers games?" And at first, I'm thinking new Super Mario Brothers U-type, but I'm like, I could see that being good. But then he continues, the games would be the exact same, but fully 3D, like Mario 64.
Oh,
What?
How is that the same thing, but fully 3D? Like Mario 64?
That sounds like the kind of insane ideas I had as a child because I didn't
Nintendo,
understand how
hire
game
this
design
man.
worked.
But I do think a fun thing would be if they made a definitive version of the new Super Mario Brothers engine and then put all 4 or 5, depending on how you want to count, new Super Mario Brothers games in it, just like copy over the level designs and then
new Super Mario Brothers All Stars.
Yes, I think that would be fun because
I'd be okay with that. I
really enjoy
New Super again.
New Super Luigi U is so good.
It's so good for someone who likes crunchy platforming. That's a crunchy platformer.
Yeah, and
It
I also
so punishing.
Yes, I also really like New Super Mario Brothers 2. And
I never played that one. I'd like it, easily accessible version of it.
It's really fun, in my opinion. So I'm on Retro Studios Wikipedia page now. They have a lot of games they apparently pitched, which sound neat. Like Untitled The Legend of Zelda title, a Legend of Zelda title starring Ashika in a story that explores the origins of the Master Sword, and Heroes of Hyrule, a rejected pitch for a Legend of Zelda title starring a Goron, a Zora, and a Rito who set out to rescue Link. And I'm like, those sound awesome.
I've watched
I've heard
the digital the
same.
Foundry, the Digino gaming exposés on them, and they sound okay.
Yeah, no. Those pitches, I think, are touching up the actual concepts that were being pitched a lot.
Okay. I will say those remind me of a game concept that I have had kicking around my head for a long time, and I've never developed the idea at all, because why would I? I'm not going to be able to pitch a game to Nintendo. But the basic idea that just popped into my head one day was an Ocarina of Time spinoff where you play as Zelda / Sheik in the interim between where Link isn't there, and you're like doing stealth action as Sheik to mount a resistance against Ganondorf and help
That's
people
cool.
survive until Link can come and save the day.
That's
That'd be
I
dope.
do like that idea. Listen, as someone who has a deep love for the Legend of Zelda franchise, pointing out all the like delicious off-screen bits of the series, or like the gaps in the timeline, going, that I want to explore that. That, yes, I'm fucking always down for that shit. Show me the Ceiling War, goddammit. What's the Hylian Civil War like?
I don't even know what those are.
I'm not gonna get into it.
Okay. But that also made
Actually, wait, I better get into it enough just to say, if anyone comments on this episode and says, "Oh, well, they did the Ceiling War. That was Ocarina of Time," you're fucking wrong.
that does make me realize that there's never been an HD version of the N64 games, because they did amazing remakes of them on the 3DS, but there's not like an HD definitive version. So I think that would be cool. I also, of course, really want Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons remakes.
Yes, please. Yes, that would be so good.
Because the Link's Awakening remake worked so
And nowadays you could do it without having to. You could do they could do the passwords just for the fun old school flavor of it, but also you could just use save data.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wonder is how they could do it while making it crystal clear to people that it's two completely separate games, because I think even to this day some people think it's a Pokemon situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
I guess I could see how they could get that, but no, they're completely different games.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of them is just far better than the other one. Sorry, Seasons. Step it up.
Also, I'm wondering if, the other big, easy thing that Nintendo can do to get more Zelda games on their consoles is, I'm wondering if the reason we never saw ports of Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD is because they're saving those for Switch 2 for some reason to pad things out.
I can see that.
Also, I'm wondering if Monolith Soft is working on a Xenoblade Chronicles X remaster to sort of get a big RPG on the Switch 2 in its first year. I think that would make sense.
That makes some sense. Yes.
Xenoblade X open world big ol' thing reminded me that another Switch 2 launch window title that should happen and probably will happen is another Nintendo timed exclusive Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even play or like those games. I just know business-wise they should get Monster Hunter Rise 2 as another timed exclusive for the Switch.
Man, I've never gotten into Monster Hunter, but it makes me so happy that Monster Hunter has become really successful outside Japan, and
agreed.
Everyone loves it. And apparently the next Monster Hunter game is coming out in 2025 for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Monster Hunter Wilds. So probably not going to be exactly what you're saying, Sam, but
but
they'll probably do something with
the last
Monster
ones
Hunter.
Came out at the same time too. Monster Hunter Rise came out at the same time as whatever the last one was called.
Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise were 3 years apart.
That's not the one I'm thinking of.
But they have I think they're remastering Monster Hunter Stories, so maybe they'll put a Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2 on Switch 2.
What I think it was at the same like Nintendo Direct or Capcom Direct or something where they announced Iceborne, the DLC, they also announced Rise, but Rise took like 2 years to come out. I think that's what I was thinking of.
Okay.
But we've been going at this for over an hour. Anything else you want to? Any other wild speculations you want, or big wishes, or anything like that before we head out?
Most unrealistic wish, Potionomics 2.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo did something sort of out of left field, like reviving 1080 snowboarding or Wave Race on the Switch 2. Probably as sort of a budget title.
My big wish, and I don't think it would ever happen, but I would love because Microsoft is collapsing, and despite having just spent a lot of money to not collapse, they're doing it anyways. I would love if they start partnering more, and we get a Banjo-Kazooie for the Switch 2. It'll never happen, but I want it.
You just
so
said
bad.
the words. You just said the words that activate my soul. Also, you say Banjo-Kazooie 4, that implies there's a Banjo-Kazooie 3, which unfortunately we never got, so...
Banjo-Kazooie 3 is nuts and bolts. It counts.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, then this is Banjo-Kazooie 5, and I'm also counting Grunty's Revenge.
Okay, now you've won me over. As someone who owned Grunty's Revenge and loved it as a kid, yes.
I have 3 physical
You
cartridge
said
games.
the words that unlocked my soul.
I only have 3 physical cartridge games, period, at all in my life right now. And one of those is Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland for Storm. One of those is Pokemon Emerald for Scarlet. And one of those is Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge for me.
Yeah, I have on my bookshelf I have a collection of N64 cartridges, and they include the copy of Banjo-Kazooie I got when I was like 6 years old. And I've had ever since, and is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, I just had a weird idea. So we talked about.
Tell me the weird idea.
We talked about the Nintendo Vault, right? And how 3D All Stars went into the vault for no good reason, and then the Fire Emblem 1 remake went into the vault for no good reason, or not remake, but Anniversary Edition. What if they're going into the vault because they were planning on doing good big remakes of them, and we get a Super Mario 64 DS Definitive Edition?
I would love that.
Like modern HD graphics on the Switch 2.
Oh my!
And dual analog control.
Yeah.
Super Mario 64 DS is such an underappreciated game.
It's such a weird, wonderful game that I don't like playing on a DS, and I want to play it on a proper controller for it.
I have a ROM hack to show you.
Ooh,
I'm sure you do. I'm sure someone's taken care of this already.
Yeah, but it's for the 3DS, where it maps the touch screen, which you had analog movement on the touch screen. It maps that to the control stick, and it makes it widescreen for you to play it on your 3DS. And it's kind of the definitive way to play that game, and it makes it real good. So, yeah, I want it, but big
remake of Super Mario 64 DS, and they add Waluigi into it.
So Waluigi has only ever been controllable in ways where he doesn't really exist. I have no idea what it would feel like to walk that man around in a 3D space.
That's a good point. He would feel weird.
I think here's the thing,
like Octodad.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I would say, so we have the Mario-Luigi divide, where like they're very close to each other's gameplay, but Mario's like Luigi's a little faster and slippier, and he jumps higher. I think, and then you have Wario, who's especially in that game, exaggerated Mario, much shorter jumps, but stronger, etc., etc. Clearly, that means Waluigi needs to be accentuated Luigi, just complete ice skating around. And just absurd jumps, but unable to like throw anything more than like a half a foot.
Speaking of Wario. I want a new Wario game that's not WarioWare. I love WarioWare, but I want them to have a new platformer, or this would never happen, but bring back Wario World. I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to play Wario World at some point because I never got to.
It is the weirdest fucking game, and it's so good.
Which fits Wario, really. Also, you say this. Listen, I agree. Wario games, yes, please. I like a good Wario game. I'm gonna throw out, because you said not WarioWare, but also WarioWare, and that jogged my brain into. And I think I remember hearing there's developer reasons why this isn't likely to happen, because I think the studio fell apart. But Rhythm Heaven, please, please.
I love Rhythm Heaven.
I love, and I know we have now custom Rhythm Heaven Studio, which is incredible piece of software that is constantly being updated to add more mini games and allow people to make more incredible, insane remixes. But like, I still want more actual Rhythm Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Rhythm Heaven, the last new game was in 2015, and yeah, it looks like the development but the development studio, it does no longer exist, but it was just an internal Nintendo team that got like merged with other teams and shuffled around and stuff. So I don't see any reason why Rhythm Heaven couldn't happen, other than that it's not a particularly popular franchise, but it should happen because it's good.
One final, definitely will never happen, but I want it to happen. And I know that it won't happen because the fans convinced them to do this once before, and then none of the fans bought it, and so it won't ever happen again. But I want Golden Sun 4 on Switch 2. I want Camelot to do something that's not just
Mario Sports.
They do great at sports games. Did you realize
They
that,
do?
the reason they got handed sports franchise is because they did the original Hot Shots Golf? I did not realize
I was not
that was
aware.
them. Yeah. So they didn't do all of the Hot Shots Golf. That stayed with Sony or whoever they made it for. But the first one was them, and then Nintendo was like, "Do that, but Mario," and they said, "Okay," and did that, but Mario, and now they've been there ever since. But
The Mario Golf game on GameCube, I have extremely fond memories of. That was a really fun game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that there will be a new Mario Tennis game on Switch 2 before too long, since it's Mario Tennis Aces came out in 2018. And I'm hoping that it'll have a robust single player mode, because
yes, that was a
cool.
really fun tennis game.
It was. I loved Mario Tennis Aces.
If I can't get Camelot RPGs with swords, I will take Camelot RPGs with tennis rackets.
Yes.
But listen, the Mario Tennis game on Game Boy Advance is an unappreciated gem. It has a story that has literally nothing to do with Mario until the last 5 minutes. And it's a weird tennis RPG. It's like if Yu-Gi-Oh! GX was about tennis instead. I love it.
This is the GBA game?
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance game. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's the Mario Tennis game on Game Boy Advance.
I want to play all those weird games.
If I remember correctly, I think Mario Tennis Aces is the only Camelot sports game that doesn't have a weird RPG single player. I think they've been doing it ever since the Game Boy Color, and I'm here for it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like Mario Golf World Tour and
that
Mario
didn't have
Tennis
a story.
Open didn't have story modes.
The closest it had was the GameCube Golf one had something where like characters would occasionally be like, "Hey, I want to play against you." You'd have like challenges from certain characters that would unlock like their left-handed mode or something.
Okay,
that was the closest.
I just was vaguely remembering because I haven't played any of them because I don't sports, even Mario sports. But
so you were just making shit up?
No, I had heard when Aces came out that everybody was upset that it didn't have one, implying that the other ones had. But if they hadn't for a while, then those people were just dumb. But the most recent Mario Golf does have a stupid RPG attached onto it, so I'm hopeful for the next tennis game.
I also would love, speaking of Mario sports games, I would love for Nintendo to do another weird Square Enix collaboration, do a new Mario basketball game, get Masayoshi Soken to go absolutely nuts on the music again, put the hot white mage in there again. I never played Mario Hoops 2 and 3, but I love what it stands for.
Agreed. On both
Mhm.
counts. Hey Sam, if people want to reach out and say things about the things we've said in this episode, where do they do that?
They can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will help us cover the cost of running the show and making it better and better. If you set up a recurring monthly donation, you also get some additional benefits. If you donate $1 or more a month, you get access to our bonus feed, where this week we continue our way through Tales of Eternia, and we've now made it into the third episode of a Tales game, and we still like it. So things
Not
are
necessarily as much as we did in the first 2 episodes, but we still
yeah.
like it.
Yeah, it definitely had a drop off, but it didn't drop off to underground like the other two did. So yeah, excited to play the rest of that, and hopefully the Tale series is good from here on out until we get to the DS games. We're gonna have to drink to get through the DS games. But you also get access to our polls to decide what game we play next on the main feed. Next we are playing Persona 3 Reload, and then after that it's up to you guys. If you want to up your donation to $5 or more a month, we will also shout out your name at the end of every episode, kind of like this. Shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Clear Time, Frost Terror, Dragon Slayer 19, Florus, Kaldron, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron 524, and J4 Prime. And then finally, if you love us so much that you want to donate $20 or more a month, you also get to make me say a sentence of your choosing, either to plug something or just to make me shout something out. So shoutouts to El Tantivy, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Vimk, who wants Legend of Legaia to get remade for the Nintendo Switch 2.
Probably. We can assume.
We can assume. And then shoutouts to Carr, who is a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth, and he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bernard. I'm going to rapid fire a few things.
Okay.
I want a new Me/Tamagotchi game.
Yes.
I want
Yes.
a Splatoon spinoff. There's so much potential for a Splatoon Tactics or RTS game.
Yes. Give Splatoon to
Yeah.
Ubisoft, so they can do what they did with Mario, but for Splatoon.
Maybe. Remake Pokemon Coliseum and XD, or let Genius Sonority just go absolutely bonkers again. Let them do something weird and fucked up again.
Yes, agreed. Wholeheartedly.
And also, I don't know what Sakurai is up to, but I hope he's working on something weird and not Smash Brothers, and just getting to, but while he's not making YouTube videos, getting to make something he wants to make.
Kirby Air Right 2.
One more,
and I'm Trish.
one more rapid fire for me. New Capcom Zelda. All right, toodaloo, folks.
Bye. New Capcom Zelda would be so good.